So the fact that RRR, people were just screaming and shouting about it, I was like, I cannot wait to watch this movie. And I don't know, did you have any sort of idea of what it was before me recommending it to you?
So I watch this YouTube channel called the VFX guys or something like that.
The corridor
Yeah,
crew.
Corridor Crew.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they covered this movie, but they did cover like the movies that are coming out of India that are action related, and they just looked insane and fun. And so I was interested to watch them. But no, the first I'd ever heard of a movie called RRR, which it's a dumb name.
It's a bad
It's a
title.
dumb name for a movie.
It's a bad title.
I looked it up and watched the trailer, and then I don't like to watch trailers because I think that they ruin movies sometimes. I think it's best to go in blind if you trust your friends. And so when you told me to watch it, I watched like the first half of the trailer, and I was like, oh, God, what is this? Let's go.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the first time I ever heard of it.
I didn't watch a trailer for it either. The first thing that I did, the first look I really got was looking up images for the thumbnails to make for this podcast. And they were all wild, all wildly different. Like, a lot of graphics have been made about this movie, and there were like, I saw that the title actually means Rise, Roar, Revolt,
Yeah, something like that.
which would have been a better title. But I saw the water and fire iconography. I saw all, the characters just in crazy situations. I saw so much stuff, and already I was like, I haven't even seen a video of this yet, and it's already kind of blowing my mind here how wild this is. And yeah, it was a great experience from the jump. And I watched it. My viewing of it was split exactly an hour and a half last night and exactly an hour and a half tonight, which is weird because the movie's actually, in a way, designed like that.
Sure.
It concludes with the animal fight in the palace, and it's right at the hour and a half mark, and it cuts to black, and it's almost like all of this is done in chapters. So it was actually like, all this talk about, is this TV show too long? Could this TV show have been a movie? The DNA of this movie works in its favor because it is a 3-hour film. So what was your viewing of it? You definitely didn't watch it in one sitting, did you?
I absolutely did.
No way.
I did. I had some time off. I took Monday off work and just stayed at home and like relaxed. I needed a mental health day.
Yeah.
And so I just watched it. I turned it on, and the first thing that I'm watching is like, there's like, it's the longest intro of a movie of all time, to where there's a lot of stuff on the screen.
Yeah.
And they're like, no wolves, elks, bears, deer, rabbits, all animals. No, none of them were really hurt. They're all CG.
Right.
And all they would have to have done to know that is watch the movie. Like, if you think that is a real deer or bear or tiger or whatever, like, your house stinks.
I definitely made fun of that too, and I was laughing. I was like, I can't wait to bring this up. But then as I thought about it more, I was just like, this is my first Bollywood or Tollywood movie. I'm sure every one of their movies has this, and every American movie does too, but it's just at the end credits.
Yeah, and then the first scene of the movie. Well, I guess I should just say overall, my God, what a beloved, amazing time I had with this movie.
Yeah.
I watched it in one sitting because I was enjoying myself so much. And like, the thing is like, you have to go into this movie, like within the first 10 minutes, you have to be like, oh, that's what this is. Right? Like, don't go into this thinking like it's a Christopher Nolan movie, or like, it is very, me and my wife were talking about it. She watched some of it with me. This movie is an anime. I mean, it's the closest to an anime that I've ever seen. And in anime, there's all these cheesy cliches, and they're all throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Like even the song, are they going to be friends or are they going to, I don't know if you had the subtitles on for that.
100%. That was
Okay.
the funniest part about it, is how
Yeah.
like literal and matter
How
of
will this develop? you know, like,
he comes from this tribe where they grew up doing this, and it's so like matter of fact and literal and sing alongy. Yeah, I was laughing my ass off. I loved it.
it reminds me a lot. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Kung Fu Hustle.
I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it.
So it's kind of Looney Tunes-ish. But I don't think that it's like, I don't think most people who would watch this movie would critique it too hard because it's a stunning movie. Like, it looks great.
Yeah.
Are the animals lifelike? No. But the things that they're doing, if they were really doing that with live animals, they would be dead, ripped apart, torn to shreds. But like visually, this movie is awesome. And in the first 10 minutes, I have the most white guilt. Like, I'm just like, white people, why? It's like, take that little girl. Why? Because I want her. I want her to sit on the mantelpiece. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, this whole movie is a treat for the eyes. It's so much fun that you forgive those moments where you're like, everyone sees this coming. This isn't because they tease something early on in the movie when these two guys meet. And then the lyrics of the song, like backing it up, is like, will this end in bloodshed?
Right.
And then when the turn, the M. Night Shyamalan moment happens, they still play it like no one could have seen this coming. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, you literally told us. And like, but man, what a treat! What a treat! RRR, which I would love to hear William Butcher say the name of this movie. But what a treat it was.
So I was thinking a lot about how much fun I was having too, because it doesn't happen often, and it was during the dance sequence.
Oh God, yeah.
Which was so much fun to watch. And I was thinking about what that sequence meant to me, because it's so tonally different than so much, but it's almost like RRR is one tone while also being 6 tones that are the same tone. It's weird. And I think it's because it's never self-serious. And that's what American cinema does. I feel like I could compare this to Fast and the Furious, where it's like their action sequences are inspired and out of this world in the way that this one is. But between all that, the drama is so thin. Whereas RRR, it has so much drama and so much it's so compelling all the time, which is not the case for Fast and Furious, but it's so self-serious, and there's no character work being done in those movies. Whereas there was constantly new story, new relationships, new twists, and it's just an epic tale at the end of the day too. I assumed it would be epic, but not in like a Shakespearean,
it's a soap opera.
Not in a Shakespearean way. Yeah, I expected it to be in game, but it has more in common with like Gladiator in some ways.
The biggest moment of the most dramatic moment of the film, like the biggest like tearjerker, the Braveheart moment, the Passion of the Christ moment. The dude breaks out in song, and I didn't even think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he starts singing while he's being whipped with this whip of nails.
Yeah.
And he just starts singing, and I believe him. You know what I mean? It's one of those, like, because it's like that Looney Tunes aspect of how just fantastical everything is, makes you not take everything so, like, it's already from the outset of the movie, this is not set in a real world thing. So you kind of just are led, and you let yourself believe whatever is you're being told, you know?
Right. And I think the other thing too is that you can see how much fun the actors are having at times. Like
Yeah.
again, that dance sequence when they're just all smiles and it just makes you happy. While the main character that plays Raju, he starts out being this super badass, and of course, right away, the guy has taken 200 hits to the body with a metal club.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still. I'm like, oh, this is so sick. And so
Yeah.
he looks menacing and like a badass, but he's so 3-dimensional. Every character is 3-dimensional too. So they give you these badass characters that also have a lot going on. And so when you see that same person at a wedding, I can't remember what the ceremony was that they're dancing at, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
just so filled with joy. And then also the shots of them, like if you go on Letterboxd right now, the movie poster for RRR is Beam and Raju sitting behind one another on their motorcycle, driving through the streets with big smiles on their
Yeah.
faces. Like it
Okay.
looks like no action is in this movie whatsoever. It's a gay romance between these two characters.
Heck yeah.
And
Let's go.
and the fact that just there's all that going on, it's crazy because
So,
if this had American influence, I feel like we would be shitting all over this.
yeah, I think too, like one of the things that kept coming to mind was one of the two stars in this movie is some serious eye candy.
Raju, yeah, he is so
Seriously
good-looking.
handsome. And then it just made me feel bad for the other guy because, like, he's not ugly.
Oh man.
But if I were casting this movie, I'm not Raju. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a Beam, and Beam is still 10 times more attractive than I am.
Right.
It was just one of those things like, I remember thinking, like, if these are the two leads, I'm like rooting for the bad guy here because he's handsome.
Yeah.
You know, I want the handsome guy to win.
I looked up his bio, and he is one of the highest paid actors in India.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, did you know that this movie is based on two actual people? This is based on true stories. The character Raju and the character Beam are real people. And they really did all that. This is based on true events.
Fuck yeah.
And it's all about, like, both of them are like Indian revolutionaries who fought against Britain.
Yeah.
And I think that's basically where it ends, like
Yeah.
their stories.
You mean the flaming motorcycle that lands in the room of TNT? Was it a real thing that happened?
No, that part's real. That part's actually from the documentary that they were shooting in the 1800s. But
That's right.
I just found that so funny because, like, after this movie was over, did you stay during the credits?
No.
Okay, you missed so much.
I had to get on and podcast with you.
So at the end of the movie, credits roll, but they come back in for a dance sequence.
Nice.
And it's them just in this, like, studio space, and they both have, like, went to studios and recorded their vocals, and it's all of them and the white girl, Jenny.
Wait,
and-
this is the end of the movie. It's not during the credits. The end of the movie is the dance sequence.
Yeah, but like the credits start rolling, and then that sequence starts.
Here, let me make sure. Keep talking, but I'm going to make sure.
Okay. So you saw the moment where at the end of the movie they're like themselves, not the characters anymore, and they're dancing. And they're like in a movie studio, like set up for a dance. Like,
Oh yeah.
okay. So just incredible that happened in the movie. I don't know if Bend It Like Beckham is a Bollywood movie, but so
No.
it reminded me of that. It reminded me of Slumdog Millionaire a little bit because I think they do that in that movie. But my God, what a great job both of the characters did. I would love to know culturally, like how the movie was received in South India, I guess.
Well, I mean, it has to be just incredible. First of all, I'm sure it's exactly in the spirit of what's popular over there. But at the same time, again, if it reached here, it has to be. But
Well, there's all kinds of foreign movies that have reached here that are terrible.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, based on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it in time, but I would love to know that as well.
But like I thought that the story was familiar enough that I think that Western audiences are immediately going to like relate in some ways. There's a lot of like cultural differences in like how Indian people like shake their head yes. It's a side to side thing rather than a like up and down thing. Did you pick up on that?
No.
Okay. And then there's like language barriers in the movie. There's like these two guys, Raju and Beam, when they meet, just to set the story, you want to see this movie because of this one of the first scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
They're on a bridge and there's a boy who is in the river below, and the river has caught on fire because a train derailed. And so there's flames everywhere. Think that oh God, what is that movie? Just think you're in The Lion King at the end of the movie when there's flames all around. And then these two guys, the way they save this kid is they say, what's the easiest thing we can do? And so they pick up a rope. One's on a horse, one's on a motorcycle. And they jump off. They drive to the middle of the bridge to meet each other. And they both jump off either side. One of them picks up a kid. One has a flag dipped in water to protect himself. And they save this kid by swinging under this bridge, saving this child.
I'm listening to you, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, your description doesn't even, like, do it justice.
No.
Like, there's no way to explain it.
There's no way. Yeah.
But it's
Imagine
incredible.
the most intense action sequence in any Mission Impossible movie, and that's this. That's how big the stakes are during this.
Right.
And then afterwards, they're best friends, and you get to see them like give each other piggyback rides. It goes from not knowing each other, saving this kid on this motorcycle horse bridge jump, and then piggyback rides. I mean, that's basically our friendship, Ryan.
I literally was thinking that. This reminds me of me and Brando running through
when you would give me piggyback rides.
And I'll tell you what, I want to talk about the friendship that these two have for a minute, because and again, I think culturally this is different too, because I'm thinking no two men in America have ever met and felt this way about each other in their lifetime. Like,
I disagree.
What making friends as an adult is such a weirdo concept,
because you don't save kids.
But it's so but it's such a weird concept alone, but the fact that like two men enjoyed each other that much, and don't you remember those scenes where they'd like be in the room with all of the books on the floor, and one of them would be on the floor reading, and they'd like look at each other and just smile? It's like,
okay, I've never had that friendship.
Exactly.
You're right.
That's just something else, but I love that so much.
Oh yeah.
This movie made me happy all the time.
Yeah.
Even when it was super dramatic, they always found a way to just make me happy. I mean, that doesn't happen often. Sometimes watching movies, and I love watching things that make me feel miserable too.
That's right.
I don't often just watch things that just make me happy. And this did for 3 hours.
And I think, like, when you think about the way that you and I watch movies, now we watch movies differently, but, like, when I go into something, I'm never like, oh, this is going to be so great. Most of the time I'm like, okay, you better live up to this.
Right.
Like, everyone told me The Dark Knight was good. You better be good. That's the kind of, like, attitude I go into anything with. A new band. Anything in my life has to impress me because my ego is through the roof. Now, for guys like us that crap on overly dramatic, syrupy movies, this movie is just a gem. And we're not its target audience. There's no way that this company or director ever thought about a fat diabetic 35-year-old in Kentucky who used to be something and play at YMCA's would enjoy this movie so much. And oh my God, it was a treat. It was, this is a movie I think I could show my kids. I'm trying to think if there was anything in the movie.
I think
There's some blood.
I think the whipping would be tough.
Well, I mean, my kids have watched The Passion of the Christ every year since they've been born, so that's a joke. I would never show my children that movie. I wish I had not seen it. But yeah, other than that scene, I guess you're right. I wouldn't want them to see a man whip another man.
Well, how do you feel about just men shooting other men in the head?
That's fine. I mean, that's America, baby.
That's right. I was thinking about how much I would rip a movie for this one thing that this movie gets away with 100%. If I saw a movie in theaters that had a musical number, first of all, that's already like,
amen.
I'm already halfway out.
Yeah, I hate musicals.
But this is the deadly sin. If I'm watching an American movie with a musical number, it's going to go downhill fast. But if the actors' mouths are out of sync almost entirely from the music, I would give it nothing on Letterboxd. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I would have said there's absolutely no excuse. Now, the fact that there are multiple dance numbers where the music is out of sync with the mouths of the actors, and the fact that I didn't think anything of it is pretty incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because this is a movie where I didn't know it was a musical. I figured there might be musical numbers because I thought it was a Bollywood movie, and that's something that happens in Bollywood films. But I thought, this reminds me of, when we talked about The Boys, and there's that episode and that scene where the female and I've already forgotten their names. The French.
Are you talking about Frenchie and Kimiko?
Kimiko, yeah. When they do that dance number, and I was like, this is amazing. I'm so glad they did this. This reminds me of like how I felt during the Assassin episode of
Leftovers.
Like, it's just so out of left field, but still so... I just bought it because the way it was handled was just perfect.
Yeah.
And that's how this was handled in this movie. Like, as men, as grown men, we're not allowed to really ever be happy unless we're watching sports. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just the truth. Like, you're never going to go up to a random guy and be like, hey, remember that dance number from RRR? Wasn't that sick? The way you could go up and be like, oh, the Wildcats won again. So
wasn't that sick?
Wasn't that sick? Men, it's okay to be happy. If you want to be in the same room, not talking, reading books, and give each other flirty glances, that's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect your manhood. And honestly, like, when you hear about other cultures, like, it's perfectly acceptable in India and at least the Middle East that I know of for men to walk, like, hold hands walking down the street if they're friends.
That's incredible.
But if you and I even touch hands, we have to do, like, moral inventories. Like, more you because I'm so attractive. Like,
right.
You're like, am I gay? Am I attracted to men?
That's right.
But it's just one of those things where you don't even think about it. So our culture, toxic masculinity exists, and it is ruining this country because we can't have nice things like RRR in America.
That's so true. Is there anything else? Oh, by the way, like the CGI, the animals. Like, again, at first I thought the wolf during the jungle chase.
I did too. Yeah,
I thought the wolf looked great.
every other animal, though.
And then the tiger, I was like, oh, that's weird that one animal in this same scene looks really good and the other doesn't. And then I just let go. Once I saw the rest of it, I was like, I think the wolf was an anomaly. And then
That's right.
I just forgot all about it and just enjoyed watching tigers rip some British soldiers' arms off.
My only question was, in the scene where Beam attacks the palace, and he lets all those animals out, like wolf, I get it. Tiger, I'm with you.
Are you going to talk about the fact
Bear.
that there was a buck?
There's a deer. There were, like, when you think of like ravaging animals, a deer comes out and they use it because one guy's arm gets caught on the deer's antlers.
I know.
And he gets run away.
First of all, I laughed because the idea that a deer and a tiger together taking down the British Empire is amazing. But also the fact that, or I was thinking, but I would be terrified if that was running after me. Terrified.
Absolutely.
So there's that. Second of all, if you noticed, before they do the guy's arm and the antler thing, there's another shot of the deer where the camera follows it and you think something wild's about to happen. And then the deer runs off screen and then the tiger comes in and does the thing. So it's like they knew themselves that we can only do this one thing with the deer.
Like there had to be someone in the editing room who's like, come on, guys, put a deer in there. I love deers. And they're like, shut the deer guy up.
The one deer advocate.
We don't need deers in this movie. And he's like, please.
Yeah.
My dad owns the company and he's not going to give you the money unless you throw Bambi in there. And so Bambi made it.
Yeah.
Great scene, though. Incredibly wild, fantasy, fantastical. 2 thumbs away up.
Yeah. I gave it a 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
It's not often that I have an experience like this. And, you know, I do think that, like, rewatchability might be limited with this movie. Like, I don't know when I'm going to rewatch it again, but I'm going to be recommending the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
in
3 hours.
Way, yeah. But recommending it because, I mean, nothing I've seen this year I would recommend more. I don't know, maybe Top Gun Maverick is the only other one. And that's only because I have to work harder because so many people are reacting the way that you just did.
That's right. Yeah, great movie. I'm going to try and get my wife to watch it, but when I'm not here.